Yeah.
Sons of Barb, episode 6. Shut up, man. I'm talking. Up. Hey, you haven't said a thing about where I'm at. What does it look like I am?
You're in Connor's room.
I'm from Connor's room. I'm going to catch a disease in here, man. It's like his clothes are hanging up back there and stuff hanging up on the wall. But you see our house, our rules back there from, we're excited today. Episode 6. And it's March Madness week as we record this. Also, today is St. Patty's Day. Top of the morning to you. How come
Hey,
you're not
don't
wearing
have any green on?
Neither do you. What are you supposed to do if somebody doesn't wear green?
You're supposed to pinch them.
That hurt right there? I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, man, hang on. There.
Oh man. Yeah,
How you
I
like
look like
that?
an elf.
How you like that, man?
Elf
Yeah.
for a leprechaun.
Looks cool,
One of the
doesn't it?
two.
You like that? Can you hear me?
It is a lot of things, but cool isn't one of them. You know what I mean?
Hey, you're just jealous. That's all.
That just shows how big your noggin is right there. You know what I mean?
This thing barely fits my head, man. Barely fits my head. Anyway, happy St. Patty's Day to everyone today. St. Pat. Hey, this day, 25 years ago, guess what I did?
What?
I asked Cheryl to marry me.
Did you really on St. Patty's Day?
Yeah, total accident. Had no clue it was St. Patrick's Day. And after she said yes, she goes, "Oh man, it's St. Patrick's Day." And so now every St. Patrick's Day I celebrate it. I don't know if she does, but you know, that's how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hopefully this year on St. Patty's Day, we're gonna have a new addition to the family.
woo! That's right. What's her little Emerson? Is that going to be her name? Emerson?
Yeah, Emerson. Yes.
Jake and Rebecca. Yeah,
she'll be born any day now. So
when this hits on this day, she should already be here, shouldn't she?
I don't know. It'll be close.
Yeah,
I'm not
probably.
sure. It could be any day. It could be today, tomorrow. I mean, you don't know.
Well, we'll be looking. Hey, look for that good news. There's a lot going on today. We got we'll be great uncles again. We're already great uncles, but you know, now every birth just confirms that. And St. Patty's Day, and there's big news coming out of the sports world. Somebody unretired this week. You see that?
Oh yeah, Giselle Brady, unretired.
Giselle. Somebody
I
said,
can't believe that he's still playing. He honestly is still good enough. I mean, I don't know how the dude is still as good as he is. He's older than me. I'm 42. Isn't he old? How old is he?
He's 45.
44?
Tom Brady's
45?
45. Yeah.
Dude, and he's still one of the top 3 quarterbacks legitimately in the NFL. Like, he's unbelievable. How has he been good this long? Like, it's unreal.
I really don't know. And you know what scared him? I saw a report yesterday that Bruce Arians had been looking at film of Baker Mayfield, and they were putting a file together about him, and Brady's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So he came back. So
I was hoping that would happen so the Browns could get anybody besides Baker, man. Hey, what do you think about getting Amari Cooper? What do you think about that?
Fantastic trade. What did they give up? A 5th and a 6th.
Yeah. I just seen they just cut Jarvis Landry, but hey,
yeah,
it's all right, man. That's it. We got tight ends. They're gonna draft a wide receiver too. They might even sign another. Hey, dude, the offense is fine. It's the defense is what needs a little bit of work. Defensive line, we're gonna lose Clowney. We need another pass rusher besides Garrett. The defense is what needs work.
Garrett can't be our only pass rusher.
And you have Chubb, Hunt, Ernest Johnson would be a starter on any other team in the league. We have 3 of the best running backs in the NFL. I mean, it's unbelievable. So the offense is fine.
Yep. I think
hey, are you a ventriloquist? Are you making that noise with your mouth closed? That barking?
A stupid dogs, man.
Hey, is that Gus? Is that Gus?
He can hear Uncle Justin.
Gus. I like Gus, man. He's my favorite, man.
Tell
That's a cool dog right there.
Tell your Gus story.
Oh man,
Remember?
the first time that I met Gus, man, Brian goes to leave. I'm up by myself in the living room. He puts him in the cage. He's there in the cage, sleeping, and everything's fine. I'm laying there half asleep, and all of a sudden I hear, I look over, man, he's vomiting in the corner and like flopping around, having a seat. I'm like, what is happening? And he's licking it up. He's vomiting, having a seizure, licking up the vomit. I'm like, this dog's dying in front of me. This dog is dying. So I call Brian. Brian, dude, this dog is freaking out. It's having a seizure, vomiting everywhere, licking it up. And what did you say to me?
I said, he'll be all right.
Yeah. He said, oh, he'll be all right. And then I took him out and he was fine. He started licking my face after he licked up his vomit. He was fine. Yeah. I don't know. I thought he was having a seizure and dying or something, but I guess he was just playing or something. I don't know what he was doing, but he vomited, licked up the puke, and then licked my face. So hey, we bonded ever since then. You know what I mean?
The vomit in your face kind of looked the same, so that's why he was confused, bro.
Oh, but man, that scared me. I thought, man, this dog's dying on my watch, man. They're gonna think that I killed it or something. I like that dog. I like every time I walk by Gus after that, he'll lay on his back for me to rub his belly. Every time.
He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
And do you remember when me and Mom was there, man? Every animal that you have how many dogs and cats? I mean,
more than I'm comfortable with. Just say that. But
however many there was, wherever Mom would sit, they would all be on her shoulders, by her legs, at her feet.
Oh yeah.
Were they her lap? She was like Ace Ventura, pet detective. I mean, those pets were everywhere, weren't they?
Yeah, Mom was never an animal lover. Like we had 2 cats in our entire life, and yet animals just calmed down, calmed right beside her. Yeah.
They were all over the whole time, and I have pictures of it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
She had 2 cats up here on her shoulders, 2 dogs on her lap, a bird down on her ankle. I'm like, what's happening in here? You didn't even have a bird, and it just flew in there. Like, what's happening here, man? Hey, that's like the donut story, man. When Brian's like, hey, would you like some donuts? After I just looked in there and seen Gus going to town licking all the sugar off the thing. Hey, Justin, you want some donuts? No, I don't want no donuts, man. The dog just licked all over him. He goes, oh, man, they're fine. These things are fine. No, they're not fine, man. A dog just vomited and then licked all over him, man.
Hey, you know why they were fine, don't you? They were $3.76 a piece. That's why they were fine.
See, that is how you and Deke are alike, man. Tight doesn't describe the word. To open your guys' wallet would be like you need 3 cans of WD-40 and a chisel.
Hey, do not even try to put me in the same stratosphere as the Deekster. Mine at least does. Mine has to open when I'm around him. I mean, nobody else can do nothing about it, man. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah, thank you for that. Now I'm the king of the tight watch, you think. My money never stays in my wallet. That was good.
Hey, well, man, Gus, them donuts cost $3.70, man. Gus licked all of them. Hey, they're still fine. Go ahead and eat them. And then Mom sticks up for you. Then Mom sticks, oh, go ahead and eat them, Justin. There's nothing wrong with it. What do you mean? Has everybody lost their mind?
Chicken Little. He only ate
Brian,
one.
If you call me Chicken Little anymore, I'm going to be Chicken Little in your face, man.
I don't find out what that means at all. I definitely don't want to find out what that means.
Dude, this is priceless right now. You're holding those headphones up. That hat looks so tight on your noggin, man. It's about to bust.
Well, this is a $4.99 hat at Meijer. It's holding the head. And these headphones, look, they won't, when I put this on, now see the hat. Whatever.
Hey, St. Patrick's Day will never be the same again now.
No,
you know what I mean?
I just had to have something festive because I knew I couldn't count on you to do anything to make this today.
I've got green on, but I can't show you where. You know what I mean?
No, you can't, and no, you won't. You will not. We have lost the 5 people that were watching this thing right there, man.
I know.
For sure.
It was 5. Now it's down to 2.
Yeah, me and you.
Maybe we'll gain another.
It's just the 2 of us. Hey, so Brady's back. Yeah, Landry just got cut as we were recording here. Sad news.
Yeah, Landry's good.
Sad news in the wrestling world that happened this week. Scott Hall, the bad guy, Razor Ramon, passed away.
Yeah.
Well,
he hasn't passed away yet. As of now, as of this moment, he hasn't. But his family is, when his whole family gets there, they're waiting for his whole family to be there. Then they're going to take him off life support.
I saw Kevin Nash put that up. Yeah.
He had he fell, and then he went to have a surgery on his hip, and he ended up having 3 heart attacks and a blood clot. So, man, that's just bad news, man. That's sad. He's not that old. He's in his 60s, but he's in his early 60s, isn't he? I mean, he's not that old, but
he
had a rough life. Yeah, he had a rough lifestyle, and he just, man, all those wrestlers from back then, man, they got beat up so bad, and from drugs, steroids, and everything. I mean, they don't live very long. You know what I mean?
Stop and think, though. Had he not defected over to WCW when he did and started the Monday Night War, we just lost another half of our audience here. But for the wrestling geeks, you'll know what we're saying. Had he not done that, wrestling wouldn't be the same even now. And then Nash followed him. Then they formed the NWO. Hogan jumped on at Bash at the Beach, and then they dominated for forever with that whole thing. It wouldn't have been the same. He was a pioneer in a lot of ways.
Hey, I hate to bust your bubble, bro, but we only got like a couple minutes left before we're getting booted off again.
So let's switch this over today. The coach of the Chipola Indians for March Madness week. This is the beginning of the NCAA tournament. Coach Donnie Tyndall was kind enough to sit down with 2 people that he really, really probably wishes he hadn't seen, but he met anyway. He was very kind.
Yeah, we don't have the time right now, but another episode, you're going to have to tell how you guys met, because I was going to ask that, but then he didn't have enough time. There was a couple more questions, but hey, we're going to have him back on again so I can ask him those questions at another time. So, you know what I mean?
Coach Tyndall has become a great friend of the show, it seemed like. So a lot of good memories there. Nick, let's kick it over to our interview with Coach Donnie Tyndall, and then we'll be back to wrap this up.
Okay, buddy. I appreciate you guys. Let's roll with it.
Hey, we are honored to be here with Chipola Indians coach Donnie Tyndall. Donnie, how we doing this afternoon?
Doing well. We just got done with a good practice, and I won't say the hay's in the barn yet, but it's getting close. We play tomorrow at 2. We'll have a film meeting tonight and a walk through tomorrow, and then game on, as they say.
Now, how excited are you leading up to a game? You just had a good practice. You probably have another one after the film session and all that. Thinking about, are you already on the sideline dressed, ready for the game in your mind?
Well, I tell you what, people ask me that. I don't really get excited. I mean, I love basketball more than anything, other than my family, of course. But what I get excited every day for is practice. Like, I can't wait for practice every day. That's my favorite part of coaching. But for games, I actually am nervous. Now, once the ball's tipped up, I'm good. I'm in my element. That's what I love to do. And there's no jitters after the ball's tipped up. But prior to, I can't say I'm excited, but I can tell you I get nervous.
I understand that. The nerves hit, what I'm doing right before, no matter how long you've done something, right beforehand, you're nervous, right?
Absolutely. And, I tell people, not nervous, you probably don't care enough.
Sure thing. We're nervous every time we do this. I'm nervous all the time that it's not going to work. I was very confident that the first episode was in the can and great. And Chicken Little over here, he's always worried. He just knew something was wrong. And I hate it when he's right. And he was right.
And I was right.
We're good this time. So, Go ahead. And we're going to try that. We're going to kind of go down the same kind of road we did yesterday a little bit, asking some questions. But you've been St. Catherine, right? That was your first head coaching job. You were assistant at LSU, and where else leading up to? Were you assistant at Morehead State too?
And at Middle Tennessee, and then I got the Morehead State head job.
Yes. And then, of course, for Morehead State, Southern Miss, Tennessee, and then the G League, and now leading the charge down there in Chipola, which we'll get to in a minute. But I want to talk about a couple things. When you're heading into a brand new program, when you're in there and you take over somewhere, we talked about earlier your style of play. You're looking at what you've got and you want to try to get them for taking over a new program. How do you go from where you want them to be to where you think they can be?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you have to recruit to who you are as a head coach. And I say this all the time, like when you're a head coach, you want your team to embody your personality and have your passion. Now, some coaches are laid back, they're calm, and their teams, for the most part, are laid back and calm. I'm a fiery guy. I'm an intense guy. I'm a demanding guy. So in most instances, my teams end up being really tough, hard-nosed teams that compete and show how much they love to play the game. But I think what a lot of guys don't do, especially younger head coaches, is they don't recruit to who they are. They go recruit, well, this guy's a 3-star, or this guy's ranked in the top 100, or whatever it may be, instead of recruiting to their personality, their system, their style of play. So with that being said, what you do when you get a program, you take one over, is you got to go find the guys that you think fit you and what you're trying to do. And I think everywhere we've been, whether it was Morehead State, Southern Miss, my short time at Tennessee, and even in the G League when we were accumulating free agents and making trades to get certain players, we did it with who I am in mind and who I want to coach and guys that would enjoy playing for me. Because it's not for everybody, you know, especially in the college level. It's intense. It's demanding. I hold guys accountable. And so you have to go get players that fit that mold. And I think in my short time here at Chipola, we've done exactly that. We've went and got some guys that maybe are quote unquote under the radar guys, and some other schools that passed on or didn't think were quite good enough, but we saw the strengths in who they are, rather than just looking at their weaknesses, and knew that they had the mentality, that they love the game, that they had the passion we want, and guys that play in our program. And usually when you do that, it bodes well.
Yeah,
sure.
Coach, like I asked you yesterday, could you give me a couple of your favorite players that you have, or a couple players that you think were the best, or whatever? You gave good stuff yesterday. Could you tell me that again?
I've had a lot of great players. You know, you look at guys like Kenneth Fareed, who was an All-American, a first-round draft pick. I had Josh Richardson, who was an early second-round pick, still in the NBA at Tennessee. Obviously, I've coached some great players in the G League. But the best college player I've ever coached would certainly be Kenneth. He was a guy that came in 182 pounds. He left at 232. Came in the door bench pressing 185. He left bench pressing 335. You're talking about a guy that gained 50 pounds of muscle in 4 years and increased his bench press about 150 pounds. So he's the best player I've ever coached in college. Although as an assistant LSU, we had a kid named Miles Swift, who was the second overall pick in the NBA draft. But my favorite player, and I have a guy on my staff named Brandon Shingles. Brandon played for me at Morehead State, was a great player, led us to NCAA tournament. But his best friend is my favorite player that I've ever coached, a kid by the name of Leon Buchanan. Leon was an undersized power forward. He was probably an honest 6'2", 6'3". We listed him at 6'5", but he wasn't even close. He was your college transfer who was 2-time first-team All-OVC player for me. And even though Kenneth was a sophomore Leon's junior year or senior year, and a freshman Leon's junior year, and Kenneth was our most talented player, Leon was our best player and our toughest player. And I think the thing that probably made him my most favorite player ever in college is quite simply, he's the toughest kid I've ever coached. He brought it every single day. At 6'2", 6'3", he was outsized, outweighed, out probably everything every single night on the floor, and yet he would dominate his matchup and led us to the NCAA tournament for the first time at Morehead in 25 years. So Brandon's feelings maybe hurt a little bit, but Buchanan was the guy. He was such a special dude. And give you a little bit of an idea, he went on and played pro ball a few years in Europe, and now he's a state police officer in Kentucky. So gives you an idea of the type of character that young man had.
Hey, he's my favorite player too, man. Leon is my middle name. So, hey, I like that guy too, man. That's awesome.
I love it. I love it.
Especially when you got to call him Officer Buchanan. I mean, you're going to give him respect right away, right there for sure. Coach,
Yeah.
we talked a lot about it. This is where I know you. I know probably the greatest day of your life is when you came into the MSU bookstore. You started in 2006, I believe, at Morehead State, and you were doing a meet and greet in there. My wife was the manager of the bookstore at the time down there, and I walked in, and I'm sure you've never been the same since. And we'll leave it at that, right? But we met, we shook hands, we talked, and I just remember how warm and inviting you were, and you took the program. We've had some great coaches and some great teams and stuff, but it was pure joy to be right there and having a front row seat to watch that all the time. And I said this yesterday. The bookstore, one of the great things about it, they had seats to all the home games. I got to watch Fareed, the Manimal, mature, and Shingles, and DeMonte Harper, and Stallworth, and Leon, and all those guys. But Bill Redwine sitting there, the auxiliaries president, yelling at the ref. He always called the ref Scooter. I said this yesterday. He's yelling, "Hey, Scooter, you're missing a good game." You could hear him all over the arena. Some of my best times, having my kids there, going down there doing a chicken dance. What I love the most, you're a field general down there. I love watching you pace on the sideline. Justin, I know you've seen pictures online. He's dressed like he's a mob boss, got the suit on, but never sits down, hands behind his back, pacing, always moving around. My wife and I know I told you this, we coached the girls' varsity basketball team at our school. We just finished our third season. And I study coaches, and I watch them on the sidelines and how they conduct themselves and interact with the players. I hope you may leave now because I don't want you to get mad, but I took some pictures off the internet. There's a picture of Coach Tyndall getting after it right there. I don't know if somebody stole his wallet, but he's going to town right there. Here's my favorite one of you at Tennessee. He cannot be lost in the crowd with that orange jacket on right there, man. He's sporting it. Here he is. Something good happened right there. Arms in the air, ready to celebrate. And this is his teaching moment. That's from Chipola. He's saying, "Son, if you want to get anywhere, you better stop lazing out on them rebounds right there." That's what he's telling him right there. How do you equate that, mixing in love, discipline, coaching? How do you mix all that together?
Well, first, let me touch on the fact that Bill Redwine would yell at an official. That really disappoints me that Bill went Anderson that. That shocks me that Bill would ever yell at a referee. But obviously, he's a great guy and been a great friend to me for a long, long time. I love Bill. But, here's what I'll say. I think your players vibe who you are and what you're about. And when I'm pacing the sidelines like that, it's not for show or it's not for theatrics. That's just who I am. I'm into the game. I'm passionate. I'm energetic. And I think my players vibe that, feel that, and it rubs off on them. I really believe that. But, I believe in tough love. You got to hold guys accountable, whether it's your best player or the last guy on the bench. You have to hold them accountable, and that brings everybody together on the same page. So you've seen me. I'll chew a guy's tail a little bit, but I'll put my arm around him and tell him I love him. And I think there's a balancing act there. But those pictures showed, other than the one at Tennessee, I told Kevin Stallings, we wore that every time you played Vanderbilt. That was the orange coat game. So the first time we're playing Vandy, and Kevin's a great guy, I walked down to shake his hand. He's kind of looking at me, smiling. I said, "I know, I look like the Great Pumpkin. You can say it." So bad. The other ones are a little bit better, but I love the game. I'm into the game. I live for it. I breathe it. And I think when you see me pacing the sidelines and into the game, whether it's on the refs or on my players or encouraging a guy, that's just who I am. And I remember getting my first head coaching job. I was 24 years old at St. Catherine College. And Billy Donovan was a good friend of mine, is a good friend of mine. And I asked him, I said, "Give me some advice, coach." And he was the head coach at Marshall at the time. And all he said, "Donnie, one thing, just be yourself. Just be who you are. Don't try to be Coach Pitino. Don't try to be me. Just be yourself." And I've always stuck to that, and I think it's worked out for me because, again, We recruit to my personality. But even if a guy's not really totally a Donnie Tyndall clone, eventually they end up being like that because they vibe my passion. And that's what you see on the sideline.
Yeah, Coach, tell me again about your favorite moment or your best moment you can think of as a head coach so far in your whole career.
Well, there's really two that stick out to me. And people, when I say this, may not believe me, but, I played at Morehead State, and my dream was to always go back there and be the head coach. And people say, come on, Morehead State's your dream job. Come on now. And it really was, because I didn't know if I would get another head coaching job, bigger or otherwise. And I wanted to go back there and do what only one other guy really had done in the history of the program. And that was a guy that's like a second dad to me, Wayne Martin, and take him back to the NCAA tournament. I really felt like we could do that at Morehead State. And so I stayed in touch with a lot of people once I graduated. Bill Redwine was one of them, and had the opportunity to come back. And when I was named the head coach, Dr. Andrews and Brian Hutchinson gave me the opportunity to be the head coach at Morehead State. That probably is one of the top two moments in my coaching career. Just simply being named the head coach at Morehead State, my alma mater, was the thrill of a lifetime. But then obviously you go to when we beat Coach Pitino in Louisville in 2011 in the NCAA tournament. Coach Pitino was always a guy I looked up to. He was a guy that, hired a guy off his staff. We didn't necessarily become buddies, but he had me down to watch a couple practices at Louisville, and beating him was surreal to me, and I remember getting videos from people that were out at B-dubs at the time. And when that shot went in, people were literally on the bar dancing, going crazy. And then I had other people send me pictures and videos of people running outside the dorm into the campus yard, going nuts and yelling and just going crazy. And I tell you, when I took over Morehead State, one thing I tried to do, and I think Brian attests to this in some of the comments he made, I really tried to get the community involved. I tried to rally everybody around our program and make sure that they felt some ownership. And I think because we did that and so many people started following our program and feeling part of our success, that when that shot went in to beat Louisville, they felt some ownership in that, and like they were part of that shot going in. And that's what was special to me, because Morehead was a special place to me as a student athlete. Going back there and leading them to a couple NCAA tournaments was a thrill of a lifetime. But when you beat Louisville on that stage, you think about it now, in that state, Louisville, Kentucky are what they are, and you beat them in the NCAA tournament, that's not only the biggest win in the history of men's basketball, that's probably the biggest win in the history of any sport at Morehead State. And I've had people tell me, like, how there's been crazy moments in history, whether it's, the JFK assassination or some dramatic event that people remember specifically where they were when that happened or when that went down. And I've had so many people from Morehead and across the state over the years say, I remember exactly where I was. I was in 11th grade. I was eating lunch and we're watching on TV, or I was at work at the factory and we're all watching it. And it's cool that people really put that moment in time into that type of special place in their memory, if you will, that it means that much to them that they remember specifically where they were. And it's been over a decade ago now. So that's pretty cool and pretty special to me. I don't know if there's anything, honestly, that could ever take the place of that particular moment in my coaching career.
I had never been associated with a college that close. We lived in Akron. That's where we were born and raised. So Akron U and Ohio State are kind of our colleges. But with my wife working there, especially when she got in the bookstore, it was home, and it became home with us. And when you first went the first year, it's like the first time you get your driver's license. Oh, Morehead State's in the dance. And I remember going to the down to the center and watching the selection show and seeing where we were going to be at. We drove to Dayton for that game against Alabama State. You remember that? What was that? Yep. 9-foot tall kid they had at center?
Yeah. He had a last name that was like 32 letters long.
Yes,
Indian name.
Yes.
fan or something like that.
It was something like that, wasn't it? It was crazy. Big old dude. And I thought, how are we that's going to be a load. And we beat them. I could not. We were like, we don't know what to do. And then we're going on. And then you face Louisville in the second round. And that didn't end well. And I'm not trying to say I can predict the future because I can't, but there was just something about that game where you're like, this isn't it. We're going to be back. A couple years later, beat them in the first round. It was, and I remember where I was. My wife went. They got a bus tour to go out. It was at the Pepsi Center, right in Denver, and she went. And it's before texting, so I couldn't stay. But I'm on the phone with my buddy. Where he's at, they were 5 seconds ahead of where I'm at, watching it on TV. So before Harper even got the pass to shoot, he yells, "He made it! He made it!" I'm like, "He made what?" I didn't know what was going on. And then the shot went in, and I went nuts. And I remember standing right in front of my TV set right there. It was so. I thank you for that. You brought a lot of joy to all of us with that whole run right there. And then here's the part I didn't get to talk to you about before. So I just want to touch on it. When you have success, then other people in that profession. Especially coaching profession is high stress, but it's also can be high reward. You get your name out there, you start becoming someone that other people come calling to ask about going. How hard is it to stay focused after some success when other schools start coming around and start knocking on your door?
Well, let me go back to your initial statement about the first time in 2009 when we went to the tournament and we won the play-in game against Alabama State, which was awesome. It was our 20th win of the season. And at the time, there'd only been like 3 or 4 20-win seasons in the history of the program. So that was incredible. And then we played Louisville. They were the #1 overall seed that year, if you remember. Had about pros on that team, Terrence Williams. I mean, a bunch of them now. And we were only down 2 at the half, if you remember. We played them tough. We were right there. And then the second half, it got away from us a little bit. We lost by 15 or 16. But what that did is build a lot of confidence. So 2 years later, when we're playing Louisville again, and you had a lot of guys that had played in that game, DeMonte Harper, May Stallworth, Kenneth Fareed, guys that had already experienced that. We went into that second game in 2011, and we didn't hope to win. We didn't think we could win. Like, we knew we were going to win that game, and not in an arrogant way, but we just had a nice team. We had a pro in Kenneth. DeMonte was a great guard. Like, we felt like we could beat them. And obviously we played like it and did that. And then in regard to, I had some opportunities prior to Southern Miss that probably could have moved on from Moorhead, but it was going to take a special situation for me to leave. I loved it there. It was a second home to me. We were having great success. My president, Dr. Andrews, my athletic director, Brian Hutchinson, who are still close friends to this day, are as good as you could possibly have in those respective positions. And so there wasn't any part of me that was in a rush to leave. Southern Miss was a little bit different because, you're down there in the South toward Louisiana, and I had recruited Louisiana when I was an assistant at Louisiana State. It was toward Alabama, Georgia, places I had recruited. So I really felt like recruiting wise, it was kind of in my cup of tea, or my place, if you will, where we could go get some players and have success. And so that was one that I obviously had an interest in. So, you try to keep all of that. I've got a quote in my binder from Hubie Brown. And it's a simple quote, but Hubie Brown's like a basketball legend. He was kind of Rick Pitino's mentor going back 40 years ago. And it's simply this: just remember, in coaching, you're always a half a step from the street. And you think about it. I mean, I'm on top of the world at Tennessee, the youngest head coach in the SEC, and 11 months later, I'm out of a job. And so I've always had that quote in my binder. And my point is, I wasn't in a hurry to make the next jump leaving Moorhead, because I knew it was a great situation. And I know how quickly you can be out in the street. So I was selective. And even in doing that, to this day, I remember how painful that decision was. I was very excited and grateful for the opportunity at Southern Miss, but it was really, really hard to leave Moorhead State. And, in hindsight, if you could do it all over, you probably stay at Moorhead State for 30 years and you have the gym floor with your name on it someday. But, everybody's in trying to get to the mountaintop. and I did what I did. But those 6 years at Morehead State were probably the best 6 years of my life.
Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, Coach. Yeah, I got one more question for you. I know you don't have a lot of time. But I wanted to ask you about recruiting. I mean, you coached a lot of good players. Players have been in the NBA. Tell me about your recruiting style. What are you looking for when you're trying to find someone to play on your team? Like, what are the things that you're looking for? Like, you know what I mean? I know you don't always get five-star blue chippers, but you go, like you said, you go for some guys under the radar. Like, what are you looking for in those players that you're recruiting?
Well, the very thing is toughness. So when my staff comes to me with a player, the first question I ask is he tough? If he's a talent, but he's not the toughest guy, I just say next, move on, next guy. I don't have any tolerance or time for guys that aren't tough. And that's both physically and mentally. Then the second thing is obviously athleticism, our style of play where we press and we trap some certain parts of the floor. Obviously, athleticism is important. And we feel like we're good enough in skill development that even if a guy's a great athlete, but a little bit in between positions, we can grow them and develop them into where they have a natural position. But if they aren't tough and they're not athletic, it's hard to get them to the floor in our style of play. So that's the biggest thing. And, I give you an example. Kenneth Fareed was non-recruited. He's 6'7", 182 pounds. He's in Newark, New Jersey. He's a qualifier, meaning he's academically eligible, and he's in Newark, where you have literally probably 20 Division I schools within 3 hours of him, and nobody offered him a scholarship except me at Morehead State. And you say, well, why did you? Well, he was tough. He played extremely hard. He was skinny at the time, so he wasn't very strong, but he was super athletic. And I just felt like he would grow into the player that we needed him to be. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say I ever dreamed he'd be what he ended up being. But because he was tough and because he was athletic, I knew eventually he'd be a pretty good player for us. And then when I was at Tennessee, I recruited a guy, give you a perfect example, Admiral Schofield. Admiral was like a 2-star in most of the rankings. And when we signed him, he's a 6'5", kind of in-between guy at power forward. And I remember the fans kind of questioning, like, why are we recruiting this guy? No other high major schools were recruiting him. But I watched him play enough to know, number one, he was tough. Number two, he was athletic. And I knew eventually we'd develop his skill set. Now, I never got to coach Admiral, but he played 4 years at Tennessee. He scored 1,500 points. He was one of the best players to ever play there. And he ended up being an NBA second-round draft pick. And again, that's the guy, because he was tough and athletic, I felt like he'd be a good player. So those are the main things. And that's what we've done here at Chipola. We've assembled guys that are tough, that are athletic. We've developed their skill set to help them move on to the next level, et cetera. And I think that's the way, I know that's the way I'll always do it.
Hey, Coach, you're in your second year there at Chipola, and you've had a great season. Last year, what were you 23-5? And
23-5 is a COVID shortened year, so we didn't play quite as many games, but went to the national tournament, won the state, won the conference, and finished in the Final Four in the nationals.
And this year, again, this March Madness week, so this is absolutely an act of God that you're able to talk to us this week with all the. It's more than just the NCAA tournament. There's a lot of tournaments going on, and you're at the junior college tournament for the over the national one. You've had guys go on though already to D1, and you mentioned those to us. Can you tell us who those guys were again? You had at least 4 or 5, I think you said.
Last year we're 28-5 this year. We won the conference again. We won the state, and we play tomorrow in the first round of our tournament. There's 24 teams out here at the national tournament, and we actually play the host team, Hutchinson, from here in Kansas. So it's going to be a battle. But last year we had 4 guys that signed out of our program. And to give you an idea of how good this league is and how good junior college basketball is across the country, but particularly in Florida, we had a kid sign at Florida State. We had a kid sign at Seton Hall. We had a kid sign at Boston College, and we had another young man sign at North Texas. So you're talking 4 basically high major programs. So you're coaching real players and talented guys. And again, that's a lot of fun, but it also gives you a chance. All four of those guys weren't highly recruited coming into my program. Some of them were not recruited, play 1 year in my program and end up at high major schools. So it's very rewarding to help young men fulfill and reach their dreams. It's pretty cool.
So you come out into an arena somewhere and you see Justin and I out there playing, and you think, okay, what can I do with these two lumps of clay to turn them into specimens on my Chipola Indians team and rehab them into somebody that can do something with them? What's the first thing you're going to tell us when you watch our 5 minutes of our game?
Well, I'm going to tell my assistant I'm going to fire their butt for having me watch.
And you should.
First thing I'm going to do. Then the second thing, I'm going to evaluate whether you're going to be a screener or you're going to be a great role player in practice. That's going to be a hard decision. I think you, Brian, you probably be a better screener than a shooter or a pick and roll guy. But all joking aside, that the first thing I look at again is just, are they tough? And I probably had some guys actually less athletic than you two that were so tough they found a way to the floor. I'll give you an example. May Stallworth came to Morehead State. He was my first signee. He didn't even have another Division II offer. He had no offers. He's a 6'3" kind of power forward type guy, but he could shoot the ball. He could really shoot it. So I signed him, my first recruit at Morehead State. And he wasn't very athletic. I don't know if he dunked a ball in 4 years of playing for me, but because he was tough and he had a special skill, which was shooting the ball, he left as Morehead all-time leading made 3-point shooter. He was a heck of a player for me. Now, I don't know if either of you guys can shoot it. I'm guessing you can, probably a little bit. Oh, he can shoot?
I can shoot it some, yeah. That's about all I can do is shoot,
I know screen. You will bring you up a couple pin downs and staggers and you let it ride.
There we go.
Let's go. We're on the first plane down to Chipola. We'll be there tomorrow. I'll play it. If you need a role player, just look at me and say, Farmer, I need a foul. I can do that right now.
There you go.
And you said that Kenneth Reed gained about 50 pounds. I can do that too. I don't know where I'll gain it, but.
We all, jeez.
I'll tell you what, well, that's where I get my exercises, on the sidelines.
Me too.
Absolutely. One of the hardest days I know was when you did leave Morehead State, but I remember vividly when you guys came back to play Morehead State there at LST Johnson Arena the first time. And there he was, the mob boss on the sideline, Justin, dressed in that dark suit and that yellow tie, and his guys over there. And we're all crying, seeing it's Coach Tyndall. He's back. The minute that ball tipped, we're like, man, these dudes are fast. They're throwing and dunking. They beat them like 200 to 85 or something. I forget what it was, but we still loved it. That's the part about you, and you've proven that, how loyal and what a great, compassionate, just good moral human being you are. Because number one, you took time out in 2 straight days for a couple of yahoos that we'll never forget. It's been the time of our life. And you're a great friend of the show now. You're our first guest ever. And this won't be your last time, I hope. We want you to come on as much as you want. Anytime you want. You can crash the party in the middle of an interview and say, hey, it's Tyndall time. We're coming on here. We don't care. But even during that time, you're kicking our butt. And we're still like, yeah, but that's Coach Tyndall. You're beloved. Justin, they had fat heads of him before fat heads were a thing in the crowd. How do you feel about that?
Well, I remember that vividly. That was the toughest game for me my entire year because Morehead was such a special place. And coming back, I knew it was going to be very emotional for me. But I also knew how much those guys were going to try to whip my tail that I'd left. And I remember that game, my best player was a kid named Dwayne Davis, and he was about 5 minutes late for a meeting, and I suspended him for the game. And so here we come to Morehead, a big game for me, obviously a big game for Morehead. I suspend my best player. He's sitting over there. His attitude was great. He helped coach basically that game, which was great. But we beat him 38. And it was maybe the worst loss they've ever had in Ellis Johnson Arena. And so obviously I was happy we won and proud of my team, but also there was a part of me that, that was kind of hard to go put it on them that bad. But I tell you what I remember was so cool to me. And this is another special moment in my career, but I shook hands and we're leaving the floor, and there were people from the stands that had hustled down and literally were lined around the court wanting to visit with me. It took me about 15 minutes to even get to the locker room because I just met all my friends and acquaintances and different people that meant so much to me. And I didn't want to touch every person that was waiting to talk to me. So it literally took me about 15 or 20 minutes to get back to the locker room. But just what you said, those people were excited to see me. And even though their team lost, in a weird kind of way, their team won because I was coaching the team that won, and they were still my friends and my fans.
Yeah, it was a can't lose situation, and very, very good. And then as you continue on in your path, and I don't know how much time you got left here, so when you need to go, you just tell us. But we thank you for who you are, because, and I'm not even going down the other side of the road. I just want to touch on it to tell you what a compassionate human being you are, and what a to me, a model citizen, because everybody has hard times. They say hard times don't last, but tough people do. And you have proven that over and over again. And to see you getting to do what you love, you say, I'm a head coach. That's what I want to be. And you're taking that opportunity. A lot of people would not take the opportunity that you've been given and do the same thing with it, but you do. How hard is it to not get bitter when hard times come and keep your eye on what you feel like God has a blessing for you somewhere, no matter how hard it is? And you're a hero of mine. You always have been. And it's a good chance. I'm thankful to tell you that, where you can hear me say it, because you've come through a lot, and yet you still got that gleam in your eye doing what you love.
Well, I appreciate you saying those things. That means a lot, Brian. And I think without getting too spiritual, my first 2 years, I'll be the first to admit, when things went down at Tennessee and I lost my job and my career and $10 million and all the things that came with that. I was probably not in a good place, for about 2 years. And I tell people this, I'm prideful that I bounced back, but I wasted 2 years of my life, man. I was miserable. I was down and out. There was no part of me that enjoyed getting up every day. My second year out, my first year I did TV and radio, but I hated it. Then the second year I got back in coaching for Stack. We went out to Toronto and helped coach the Raptors G League team. And it was good to be back in the gym, but I was in Toronto, another country away from my family, and just not in a good spot. And I finally said to myself, after that year, I said, look, man, you got to get through this. You got to practice what you preach to your players, which is getting through adversity, getting through tough times. And I did that. And, I have my close immediate family and really about 2 or 3 close friends that stuck with me and were a big part of me getting through that. And I didn't know if I'd ever get to coach in college again. And people say, well, why would you leave the NBA to go be a junior college coach? But I knew I was probably never going to be a head NBA coach. And not that I'm better than any NBA assistant, because there's way better assistants in the NBA than me. But I just didn't want to be an assistant coach. And Coach Casey said I would be at some point in time, and I appreciated that. But I wanted to be a head coach, and this gave me an opportunity to do it. Even though it's at the junior college level, it's a very high level of basketball. And like I just said, the players that signed where they signed, like, it's good players, it's great competition. And that's who I am. And you're right about having a gleam in my eye. I thank the good Lord every day for the opportunity that he's given me. And I tell people all the time, like, not everybody's path is perfect. Not everybody's path is without bumps in the road, or in some cases, canyons in the road that you got to get through. And God has a plan for you, and you've got to stay true to that and understand that. And that's what I've done. I've always had a strong faith, but I've leaned on that the last 5 or 6 years, even more than I ever have. And with close friends and a strong family, we've got through it. And honestly, I'm at a point in my life where I absolutely love what I do. And it'd take a real special situation, even when my show causes up, to leave doing what I'm doing. I absolutely love it here.
Yeah, Coach, tell us real quick about the tournament that you're in and how we can watch Chipola College dominate in the tournament.
Well, yeah, I hope we dominate. Like I said, we've got first round matchup against the host school, Hutchinson out of Kansas. They're a great team. And, you can go to njcaa.com and you can log on. It's like $10 a game to watch us play. And in the tournament, there's some great players out here now. I mean, we watched some games last night, some serious guys that'll end up playing at high major schools across the country. There's great coaches at this level, a lot of young coaches that'll eventually be Division I head coaches down the road. And so it's a great tournament. A lot of great players. They say there's been already 250 Division I schools out here to watch the games in the first 2 days. So it gives you an idea of the talent level that's here. And hopefully we play well. Our team's had really good practices. I think we're prepared and ready, and hopefully we can overcome that home court advantage Hutch is going to have. But I think we'll be ready to go, man.
How does Hutchinson get to host? It's like Tampa Bay and the Rams hosting the Super Bowl the last 2 years. How do you pull that off?
Well, it's every year. It's been here for about the last 50 or 60 years. And it's just kind of the home to junior college basketball. Obviously, they have a huge arena. The city really takes in this tournament, and it's a year-long deal that they prepare for, and they embrace it, and they do a great job of hosting it. And Hutch basketball has always been good. They're great again this season, and unfortunately, we got the draw that we happen to play them. We're a higher seed. We're the 5 seed overall, and they're the 12 seed out of 24 teams. So on paper, we'll be the favorite, but we all understand when a team has home court advantage, that's tough to overcome. But, we went to Northwest Florida, who has a top 10 program, and won the state tournament on their home floor and beat them in the semis. So hopefully we can do the same thing here against Hutch.
And now Chipola, did you say that's close to Destin, like an hour away?
Yeah, it's about an hour and 15 from Destin and about an hour from Panama City. So I can assure you, when this thing's over, you'll find me on the beach somewhere.
Hey, take some pictures of that so we can put that up on our website and our Twitter and Facebook and stuff for sure. So you get this done, the tournament's over with, then your season is done. Give us a little quick insight into the life of a coach. Somebody wants to be a coach and say, okay, it's just during the season. Sorry, son, it's 12 months out of the year. This is done. You get back home, then what? After the beach.
We've already got recruiting visits lined up for the weekend after we get back. And it'll continue to be where we're out evaluating players and bringing kids to campus for official visits, trying to, assemble our roster for next season. And, what we say here at Chipola, where we don't rebuild, we reload. And
here he is.
Hey,
there you go.
Did you get off? Yeah, we got it to where you said we don't. What was it? You reload. That's what you said.
Okay.
We lost you after that, but you sure look good there on the screen. That's a great snapshot of you. Well, I'm sure you got to probably go, so we're going to let you go here, but we can't thank you enough. I think I told you before, in our family, there's two, besides family, it's Jesus and sports. That's all we are about. We love God and we love sports. And unfortunately, he was the most athletic one in the family. He played more sports than we ever did. We tried to play it, but we wanted to get into broadcasting. We love to write about it. We love to watch it. We love to coach it. It's what we're all about. You are giving us the thrill of our life here today. So we sure appreciate your time and to be able to reminisce and reconnect here. And I feel like we're not going to lose touch. We're big Chipola fans, but we're bigger Donnie Tyndall fans.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. I really appreciate you having me on. I'll be glad to come back another time if you ever want me. And I hope all the success in the world to you guys. If you would send me the tweet, and I'll retweet it for you and try to help you podcast a little bit. And again, I appreciate it. Moorhead's a special place, guys. All my people there are special, and memories will never leave me. And I appreciate you having me on. I really do.
Hey, thanks a lot, Coach. Man, you're unbelievably gracious, man. Thank you for coming back 2 days in a row. Hey, you're number one in my book, man. You're always welcome here.
I appreciate it. Send me that T-shirt now.
Oh, that's
Oh,
getting
yeah.
it. Oh,
You
we
got
got that. It's in a box. It's ready to come. And get down there. Just send me your address, and we won't let that get out anywhere, obviously, because we don't need your box filled with that. But the T-shirt's on the way, and I'm gonna get on the Chipola shop and get a hat and a mug too, and get some gear up here, so we'll be able to wave the flag up this way for you for sure. But you're welcome anytime. Good luck in the tournament. We love you. Take care. God bless you.
Okay, guys. God bless. Thank you.
That was Coach Donnie Tyndall. We had a little interruption there because we've got the free Zoom that only lasts 30 minutes. So we had to do a new link and cut it back in. Nick the Quick back there doing a great job with all the stuff. But Coach, good luck this week. Make sure you catch the Chipola Indians.
Yeah.
Get on the Chipola Athletic Facebook site there and follow them. Quality class act, great human being there. And he'll be back again to be on the show, and we sure appreciate his time. So, hey, remember, catch March Madness, fill out your bracket. Another great St. Patrick's Day today. And we will be back in 2 weeks with who knows what. We're continuing to grow. And thanks for jumping on here with us. Justin, anything to close with?
Be safe, be smart, and be yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Happy St. Patty's Day, all you greenies. Woohoo!